it's wild to me what we're seeing from Luis Arraez right now. The fact that he is barely striking out, number one, the fact that he's hitting 403, but he only has one home run. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, if he falls off the table a little bit, only hits like 340 for the season or, 330 for the season, do you think the power numbers would be holding him back from winning an MVP? Or do you think it doesn't matter? If you have a high batting average, that should be the stat.
No, I think what he does, first of all, what he does is unbelievable. In this day and age, to be able to hit 400 for a month is one thing. To be able to hit 400 for 65 games is unbelievable. And he has that ability. He's got the joystick. I mean, he just just takes the ball wherever he wants to. And I think he struck out 11 times. 11 times.
Huh.
Kyle Schwarber struck out 11 times in 3 games throughout a stretch this year.
God.
And so to answer the other part of your question, no, I don't think he'll be an MVP candidate. I mean, he'll get MVP votes just like he did last year. But we talk about it all the time because Scott Braun on our show Foul Territory loves Luis Arraez. And I love him. But he can't be the centerpiece of your lineup because if I'm catching, if AJ's catching, we were talking about this, I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, 2 things we're not going to do. We're not going to let Luis Arraez have more than a 4-pitch at bat because he's going to put the ball in play. Don't try to chase the strikeout. Too many pitchers in the big leagues try to chase the strikeout. And a guy like that, you're game planning against, and you're sitting there going, okay, well, he can't put the ball in the ballpark. So let's make sure we get contact early and we stay in the zones that make him put the ball in play. Hey, you know what? And you want to try to keep the ball on the ground for him. So, you're staying down in the zone. He's going to do most of his damage up in the zone. And, that's when he'll flip his doubles to the gaps and triples to the gaps and down the line. But I just don't see him being able to win an MVP just putting the ball in play because we know so much more about value. Looking at a guy like Kyle Schwarber who's going to hit 220 this year, if he regresses back to his regular season in June, he ends up hitting, 280 like he always does. He's going to have 35 to 46 home runs. Like, that's just so much more value than Arraez is creating. And I don't think he's going to hit 400. But if he pushes 390, his votes are going to be up there, and he could be a top 5 guy.
What's the matchup to watch in Saturday's game?
It's going to be the 5-on-5 matchup, the even strength matchup, because Vegas last night scored twice in the power play, which is what they do. They've been red hot with the man advantage, including they scored a 4-on-3 power play goal in Game 3. So that's good for them. Like they're killing it. The Panthers penalty kill is struggling a bit, but they didn't put anything past Bobrovsky at 5-on-5. So like if they're not going to be able to do that, feasting on the power play is not a recipe for success in the playoffs. So that's the matchup to watch is, have the Panthers on home ice getting the matchups that they need. Have they tilted the series a bit away from Vegas at even strength? Because if this is a special team series, I don't think that's good news for Vegas. I think they have to be able to do what they did in the first 2 games, which is score in the power play, but then also be able to score at even strength.
Do you think this is a good move? I was surprised by this. He turns 28 in August. This is a young guy. Early in his career, had an ACL tear. He's had problems with his shoulder, but he has had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. One of only 2 players in the NFL, in the entire league, to do that. And they're going to get rid of him. I guess they're going to go with Alexander Madison instead. Do you think this is a good move? They're saving money against the cap, but I think it's way too early to let him go. I know he's had injury problems. I think it's a bad move.
This one caught me off guard. When I saw this, I thought to myself, what did he do wrong? Did he do something that's going to come out? But you're right. It is simply a move to save money. And I guess it means they have a lot of faith in Alexander Madison, like you said. It looks like the Dolphins are the team that's going to try to pick him up. And I think that's a good fit for him there. It's so hard to project running backs and their health that maybe that this is just the bottom line, is that he's getting older, even though 28, like, I don't think it's that old. Like, in today's A and age, we're not living in the Middle Ages anymore where, 40 is like a death sentence. You get what I'm saying? I feel like guys take better cares of their bodies. And I know that running back is probably the worst position. Like, you age the most at this position. But still, it feels like, I don't know. It feels like it's just a move to save money.
Here's the thing, is that I understand making the move if you've got a guy that you know can take over. When Dallas got rid of Zeke, and as great as he was, took a lot of hits, but they had Tony Pollard, and you could tell Tony Pollard is great. Tony Pollard became a better running back, so I got it. You save some money. Zeke was great during his day, but man, he slowed down a little bit, been injured, and Pollard was a perfect fill-in immediately, so it was easy to see why Dallas made that transition. For the Vikings, I'm not quite sure. What, you're going to bet on Alexander Mattison? I know they're trying to save money, but here's the thing. I read where the Vikings were looking at advanced metrics and the numbers where, yes, he had a productive season, but based on what he should be producing, based on opponents and all the different things you can go into when you look at the numbers, he should be doing more. He's already on the downside of his career. And I think there's something to that, Chelsa. But this also sort of reminds me of when I handicapped baseball. I was thinking about this last night, where sometimes you'll see a pitcher and someone's making an argument and saying, well, his expected ERA is much higher. This guy's going to have some regression. And sometimes you can look at all the numbers. Some guys just know how to perform. You can look at all the advanced metrics and go into the numbers. And sometimes you just have to throw those out and say, look, maybe he's supposed to have some regression. I haven't seen it. He finds a way. And Dalvin Cook is one of those guys where, again, only 2 running backs who have rushed for more than 1,000 yards in 4 straight seasons in the entire league. So they're banking on regression that we haven't really seen, and I think they're rolling the dice here. So let me get this straight. You held a real gun when you were in Denver, but then you just switched that out for a toy gun. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because no one is watching that video and saying, it's not a big deal. It's a toy gun. It's when you are an NBA superstar with a mega following and a ton of kids who look up to you and you are flashing a gun. At the end of the day, it's how this looks. It's about image. I don't believe it was a toy gun, and even if it was, it doesn't matter. When you have gotten in trouble by the league for flashing a gun, just stay away from guns. It's sort of like when the Colts say, the lesson here is don't gamble. The lesson here is stop carrying a gun around, stop flashing a gun, surround yourself with the right people. So it's irrelevant to me, even though I don't believe it, whether it's real or whether it's fake. It's the principle of the matter.
It's the self-awareness for me, the complete lack of self-awareness by Ja Morant if he indeed had a toy gun, because it doesn't matter if it's fake, if it's a hand motion. We saw this with, who is it, Brandon Miller for Alabama when he had the intros, when he was like doing the shoot 'em up signs, when clearly he had his name attached to a murder. And I know that's way more in depth than what Ja Morant's going through. It's just the self-awareness. It needs to be there for Ja Morant, and it clearly isn't. He needs somebody to pull him aside, which I feel like he probably already has. Do you know how many big names have probably already reached out to Ja Morant because he is a superstar? And the fact that he's going in the face of all of these people, because we saw this the first time he messed up. How many people have to put him on the right path for him to stay on it?